And please give a 10x welcome to Brandon Dawson.
I'm all heart. I'm like a lion on. I'm all heart. I'm all heart.
Hey, it's Brandon Dawson here with Cardone Ventures. Thank you, entrepreneur, for featuring us on this webinar. This webinar is on the 3 critical keys to surviving COVID for business. Now let's talk about numbers, because numbers never lie. In fact, the larger the data set, the more information is there. And unfortunately, in some cases, especially with the success of small to mid-sized businesses, the numbers don't paint a very pretty picture. And this is pre-COVID. There are 31 million small businesses in the United States. 25 million of those businesses have a single employee. 25 million have 1 employee, just 1. 5.3 million have between 2 and 15 employees. And 700,000 businesses have more than 15 employees. Well, this tells a picture, and not a very pretty picture, about how hard it is to actually build, grow, scale, and succeed in business. This is pre-COVID. Now, what happens with COVID? It's going to make this so much harder. In fact, over 30% of the businesses in the United States have been completely shut down entirely because of COVID. Now, pre-COVID, let's talk about the top 3 reasons businesses failed. This is what business owners indicated were the reason they could not succeed. The number 1 reason is there's no demand for their product or service. The number 2 reason is they can't find any good employees. And the number 3 reason is they can't get lending or investment capital from others. So let's talk about this for a minute. If 25 million of the businesses that are out there, small to mid-sized businesses, only have 1 employee, their ability to find good employees is going to be limited because they don't know how to build, grow, and scale their business. Therefore, they can't attract people that share in that vision, especially if they alone can't create a demand for their product or service. The number 1 complaint is no demand for product or service. I mean, honestly, who would even start a business unless they did their research to understand if there was demand for the product or service? And then the part about can't find good employees. Well, if you can't convince a customer to exchange money with you, how are you going to find a great employee who comes and helps you? And then the third point, can't find lending or investment capital. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not sure who would give you money if you can't create demand for your product or service, if you can't find people, inspire them, and motivate them to help you, and obviously, if you can't generate revenue. Who's going to give you capital? So these 3 reasons businesses fail are really an excuse for somebody either not doing their homework or not learning the skill set necessary to explain to people the value proposition you're creating and having them exchange money with you for that value proposition. If it's a product or service, it doesn't matter. And if you can't do that as the person that founded the business, then the people that you try to bring around you won't be able to do it. And true leadership is making other people's success easy. So if these 3 reasons are the reasons businesses fail, then the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we make sure whatever we're doing, there's demand for our product and service? We present it correctly with the value proposition that people will exchange with you. How do we find great people that you can inspire to help grow and build your business? And then the third is, how do you find people that are willing to get behind it with capital, if you need capital at all? In fact, I find most businesses that are starving for capital, it's because they don't understand how to grow, scale, and build their business in the first place. Here's another statistic that paints a very bleak picture. 2/3 of all businesses fail between the 1st and the 5th year. So when you look at the statistics of how many businesses have how few employees, how many of them go out of business and why they go out of business, and then 2/3 of them failing between the 1st and 5th year, it paints a very clear picture. What's the picture? The picture is it's not easy to build, grow, scale, and exit a business. So look, if you're watching this program, right out of the box, ask yourself, do you want to be one of those statistics? And if the answer is no, then make the commitment to watch this program, because everything that was already hard about being in business, starting a business, growing a business, scaling a business, and exiting a business got much harder in the last 6 months. In fact, 31% of all small businesses are completely and entirely non-operational right now. Think about it. Because of COVID, 31% of all small businesses are entirely non-operational. If it wasn't already hard, now for some people, it's impossible. So ask yourself the question, do I want to be a statistic? Or do I want to buck the trend? Do I want to know what businesses, even during COVID, are doing to grow, scale, and create value, not only for the business owner, but for the employees and for the customers, the clients, the people they work with? That's what we're going to be talking about in this webinar. Now, to understand why so many businesses fail as they go from working by themselves to trying to bring on employees to trying to scale and grow, this chart tells it all. Now, there's a natural law that happens with businesses, and the numbers I talked about earlier, the 25 million business owners that work by themselves, this is why. Businesses between startup and 3 million in revenue usually have somebody trying to do something. They're either pursuing a passion, they're moving away from something they didn't want to do, or they're moving into something that they're excited about doing. Now, most business owners start their business by moving out of something they didn't want to do, didn't want to have a boss, don't want to have to be accountable, want to be in charge of their own schedule, so they moved out of where they were at into doing something different. This is a really important psychological aspect of business owners because they moved into owning a business by not wanting to do something else. So of course it's hard for them to hire employees. They didn't want to be one themselves. I call this the entrepreneur dilemma. Well, you have to work this out and sort this through between 0 and 3 million. Because if you don't do that, you can't transfer any knowledge to anybody else to help you grow and scale your business. But once you learn the technical aspect of doing what you need to do in order to win and then learning to transfer that, that's the next break point between 3 and 8 million. So it starts with doing something that people will exchange money with you. Then the next iteration of growth, the next break point, is bringing people in to help you. Well, that takes a whole different level of knowledge and skill set and development. One is me leadership. I'm going to make the phone calls. I'm going to go out and greet the people. I'm going to exchange and take credit card information. I'm going to collect cash. I'm going to pick up the check. I'm going to figure out the books. It moves from that to we leadership. Now I have to trust other people to support and help me. This is why so few businesses grow between 3 and 8 million, which is 2 to 15 employees, because they never learn to identify the elements that work and hand off the things that don't create value to people who are good at those things so they can focus more energy on the value creation of pursuing the what they do. And let me tell you, the first break point is always going to be centered around what you do to create value that will allow people to exchange money, which is why 2/3 of businesses fail is they don't know how to identify how to create that value, therefore no one gives them money. That's the first chief complaint. No demand for our product or service, therefore no exchange of money. Once you break through that chief complaint, which 25 million small businesses are still trying to do right now with their single owner operator, now it's about transferring that knowledge, that information, that resource, that skill set to a team of people who can help you grow from 3 to 8 million. Once you do that and it starts working, which is why so many businesses get trapped at 15 or less employees, because everyone can kind of wing it. And if you're good at what you do, or you're great at what you created, or your product or your service is desired, you can get there. But the few businesses, the 700,000 businesses that go from 15 employees to thousands, well, it gets really super hard. And what this break points show you is that 0 to 3, 3 to 8, 8 to 15, 15 to 25, 25 to 45, all those break points we've mapped out over the thousands and thousands of businesses we've worked with, over the businesses that I've built, and over the research that we've done with big major research companies that work with all the private equity groups. We wanted to identify the exact elements that kept a business or a professional or a person or an employee to get to the next level of success. And we've reverse engineered that into our programs, which is why we're able to study those businesses that apply those programs, especially these 9 elements. There are hundreds of elements that allow businesses to succeed, but we were able to identify 9 specific elements that business owners deployed in their business to shore up around COVID that are allowing them not just to survive, but in many cases, thrive, even unexpectedly so. Now, what I want to do is show you my own personal breakpoints. I started my first business when I was 27 years old. I saw an opportunity. I didn't know how to build a business. I just saw an opportunity. I quit my job because I had saved a year's worth of money. So I had the ability to live for a year without having to work for anybody. Having a year's worth of income really paid off because it gave me the room necessary to figure out how to start my first business. Now, if you watch my origin story on entrepreneur.com, you'll understand what my first business was, how I succeeded, how I failed, which is the decline in my breakpoint. I went from being worth $100,000 to being worth about $10 million, back down to only being worth about 500 grand. Now, what I did learn from that, studying my breakpoints, studying what worked and studying my breakpoints, because in the process of me having that net worth, I took a business from 0 to 60 million in revenue, and then I was private equity backed, rang the opening bell of the American Stock Exchange at 29 years old, which was a huge dream of mine. But then my business was sold out from underneath me. So I had to start over. That was a personal breakpoint. A break point turns to an inflection point. An inflection point is that moment where you decide, where you determine, am I going to accelerate towards my goals or am I going to give up? Now, the reason I created this webinar is because I don't want you to give up. I actually want you to take this moment to realize, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And how would I do it different in the future? And the reason I'm bringing this to you is because that's exactly what I went through when my mentors took me aside and said, you aren't doing it right. You're not thinking right. You're not acting right. You're not doing right. Because they cared about me. For me personally, I would love for you to consider me to be a mentor in 5 or 10 years because I changed your life with this one webinar by giving you information that could absolutely impact you personally, professionally, and financially, thus you teaching it to your team so they can impact themselves personally, professionally, and financially by helping you pursue your product or service and then making an impact in the things that you're excited about doing. If this one webinar changed your life, then it was worth me creating. Even if it's only one person, it was worth me doing it. Now, what are the 9 elements? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. These 9 elements are the elements that we identified across the spectrum of all the things, the businesses we've been mapping and studying and looking at their financials and tracking on them, flow, conversion, retention with new clients, shutting down, reopening, fighting to survive, all the elements that businesses have had to encounter in the last 6 months. But what we wanted to do is deliver to you the 9 elements that we identified that all the businesses succeeding were deploying in their environment, in their business, in their marketplace. There's 3 categories. The first category is directionality. The definition of directionality is relating to or indicating the direction in a space. And the 3 words underneath directionality, purpose, reflection, and model. Now, we're going to be breaking down those 3 specific words and how they tie into directionality in our program. The second word is effectiveness. The second category is effectiveness. The definition of effectiveness is producing a decided, decisive, or desired effect. And the 3 words under effectiveness are process, measure, and duplicate. We are going to get very granular in exactly what that means. In fact, we've produced videos to walk you through the exact process and then worksheets for you to identify how to do it in your business. These programs are the same programs we've been teaching to business owners to grow, scale, and create value for years. But what we didn't know is how these words intertwine so succinctly in order to create significant value. And we're breaking that down at a granular level so you will be able to apply that in your personal, professional, financial life, in your business, or if you work for somebody else and you want to create a huge impact on that business. The third category is alignment. This is so important. The definition of alignment is an arrangement of groups or forces in relation to one another. Now think about this. People are scared. People are nervous. People are fearful. People don't know what to expect about the future. So to the extent that you can align groups of people in relation to one another through influence, through choreographing success, and through the attainment of specific granular goals that build on each other, you will be able to harness the horsepower that what business owners never learn to do, which is why they're trapped at 25 million working for themselves and only 5.3 million having between 2 and 15 employees. Now, these 9 elements of success that I break down in granular detail and map back to how to succeed in business yourself and through a team, then interlinked with each other. Purpose, reflection, model, process, measure, duplicate, influence, and choreograph for goal attainment. So directionality, effectiveness, and alignment. The 9 elements of success broken down into details of how to intertwine them and have them work together so you can not only survive COVID, but you can thrive through COVID. Think about it this way. When people are under immense pressure or stress or fear, anxiety, whatever it is, they usually have one of 3 reactions: fight, flight, or freeze. Well, in business, if you freeze, which 31% were forced to freeze, it's a death sentence. Now think about this. In life, just like in business, when someone's introduced into a serious threat or stress, resistance, friction, anxiety, they usually have one of 3 reactions: fight, flight, or freeze. Now, if you're gonna fight to stay in business, if you're gonna fight to win, you need to fight the right way. Fighting the wrong way is just as destructive as not fighting at all. I like to use this analogy when I'm teaching and coaching business owners. If you get caught in a rip current, a rip tide, and you're swimming in the ocean, and you start flailing against it, and you just start putting all your energy, that's why people drown. Because all of a sudden they start getting sucked out to sea, so they put all their energy, and they run out of energy, and they can't fight it, and unfortunately, they die. Now, I have a place in Cabo. What has the lifeguard told my kids and told me? Hey, if you're ever getting sucked out to sea, don't sweat it. Just relax. It'll take you so far out. Turn your body parallel to shore and just start swimming or kicking, floating on your back until you get back to shore. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Don't be afraid of it. Just let it happen and you will come to shore, or I will come get you. Now that is completely and entirely different than what the reactive mind does. Well, the same is true in business. When you get hammered with stress and friction and resistance and anxiety, the first thing to do for business owners is they start to fight, but they don't fight efficiently. They don't fight effectively. They don't fight consistently, and therefore, unfortunately, they lose. Now, you can flight, you can shut your doors and leave, or you can freeze. Fighting incorrectly, flighting, or freezing for business is the statistic of 2/3 that go out of business. What I'm going to be talking about on my program is how to not be a statistic. It's how to swim with the current, not against the current. Don't waste energy and effort because you're trying to do it right all by yourself, and don't listen to people who haven't actually done it. Watch this program, participate in this program, create a relationship with me in this program, and let's see if we can't help you swim efficiently, effectively, and safely to get to shore and have a great experience in the process of doing that. Being an example to others on how to succeed. Now, what is the success formula? The success formula is something I created based on the success of all the business owners I've been working with over the years. Now, the first thing you have to do when under immense stress or pressure is move to acceptance. The sooner you can accept your situation, the faster you can move through the situation. For me, I have a very specific process that I use when I'm under stress, and I wrote about it in my book, The Emergency Business Response. The way I handle pressure is when something happens, a jolt to the system, the first question I ask myself is, am I okay? The second question I ask is, are the people I love okay? Third question, are the people I'm responsible for, people who trust me, pay me to take care of them or work with them, for people who, whatever the engagement is, I ask, are those people I'm responsible and obligated for, my employees, etc., is everybody okay? Now, I try to get through this very quickly because the fourth and most important question I ask myself is, how much time do I have? The more time I have, the better I can come up with a solution, because the fifth element of moving to acceptance is creating a plan. And what I'm telling you here is the faster you can get to acceptance, the faster you can create a clear-minded, clear-headed plan that will move you to success. But it takes immense discipline to position your own thinking, to not be reactive to everything that's going on around you. You have to choose that you want to be in control of the outcome of whatever situation that you're involved in. You can't blame outside people, you can't blame the conditions, you can't blame the circumstances. You have to take ownership. The question you have to ask yourself is, what did I not do right in my past that would allow me to weather what I'm dealing with right now so I can grow and scale in my future? Now, here's the thing. I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you take the fight, fight, or freeze concept, whatever you're dealing with from competitors in your marketplace, you can pretty much assume a third of them are going to disappear. And that stat shows that 31% of the businesses out there are completely shut down. They're not doing anything anyway. The second thing you know is if 2/3 of businesses fail and COVID created the conditions for people that were ill-prepared, they're going to fail sooner. If I was in business right now, which I am, I'd be thinking that creates a 2/3 market opportunity for me to grow and expand. So I want to make sure I have the foundational elements in place. I want to understand how to grow. I want to understand how to scale. I want to understand how to align my team with the business opportunity. And I want to understand how to present this to people that will exchange money with me because my product and services are going to help them. That's the success formula. Accept where I'm at, have a disciplined approach at how I'm going to view what I'm going to do next, and then hit explosive growth, man. Go after it, because 2/3 of your competitors are either going out of business or they're entirely distracted right now, which leaves a huge void in your marketplace. Seize on that opportunity. Using these 9 elements in my program, it will teach you exactly how to do that. So this is why I created this program, Crushing COVID in Business, because I wanted to bring the information, the strategy, the structure, the 9 words under directionality, effectiveness, and alignment to as many business owners as I can in order to help them grow and scale. In fact, for me, this is about building a relationship with people who are serious about their commitment to pursue their passion at all expense and accomplish the goals they've established for themselves. And for a lot of people, they didn't establish the right goals at the right time, the right way already, which is why they're struggling. So here's the thing. I've had hundreds of business owners pay me $997 for this program. But after seeing the results of what we mapped to the success equation, and after actualizing it through so many businesses, my team came to me and said, Brandon, you have to deliver this to any business owner that wants to see this, learn these 9 elements, build a relationship with us, and have us help them scale and grow out of COVID so they can prepare themselves for a long-term successful business enterprise that teaches them the technical aspect of how to grow, scale, create value for themselves and others, and then exit at a price that allows them to retire in the future. These 9 elements, if you master them, you will be able to do that. So we've reduced the price of this program to $47. $47. It comes with 9 video courses where I break down those 9 words in detail. Those 9 video courses have 9 interactive worksheets so that you can learn how to apply what I've taught in the video to specifically something in your business. Bringing this program to business owners for $47 so that they can apply these principles, they can identify those 9 elements within their own business, allowing them to pursue their personal, professional, financial goals, and teaching others how to do exactly the same thing, learning and using the 9 elements under the 3 categories: directionality, effectiveness, and alignment. It's 9 video courses. I shot those myself based on the granular experience that we were able to identify from businesses that were crushing COVID in business. Not just surviving, but thriving. It also comes with 9 interactive worksheets, and you get to listen to 4 weeks of private calls with all these business owners so you can relate to exactly what they said, what they learned, what they did, and what the result was. Look, building a business is all about context and contrast. To the extent that you have more context about your decision making, more context about what can be done, more context about how to do it, more context about how to take the thing that you're pursuing and make it work, the bigger, better, faster chances and the larger impact you'll create doing what you're pursuing as your passion. Now, contrast that to doing nothing. Contrast that to all the statistics and all the numbers. Contrast that to businesses that struggle, businesses that go out of business, businesses that can't figure out how to hire anybody but the business owner, businesses that can't grow beyond 15 employees, so they don't grow, they don't scale, they don't create huge value. Contrast that to the ones that crush it and succeed. Then contrast the fact that if you're even scratching to survive today, 2/3 of your competitors won't be here tomorrow. Prepare yourself with a growth mindset. Ask yourself the right questions. How do I fortify around my business right now? How do I find people and attract them into my business so that they can help me grow and scale and conquer within my market? How do I create long-term value pursuing my passion, my joy, and teaching others to do the same thing? And then the chief 3 complaints. How do I have a product or service people want to exchange financially with me? How do I find aligned and inspired employees that want to go conquer with me? And then the third thing is, how do I find people who would trust me with their money, either by giving it to me to spend on whatever I deliver back to them, or financing my growth, a bank or a financial institution or a private individual. These are all things I've had to do in my career, in my life. And watch my origin story on entrepreneur.com. I started my first business with no money. I grew and scaled it to 60 million. I took it public at 29 years old. Then it got taken away from me. I restarted my new business by learning what I did wrong, coming up with a plan on how I'd do it different. Started that business with the last money I had, paid myself back within 18 months, never borrowed a dime, never raised a dime, never went to one person and asked for a single penny to pursue my dreams of building a business, helping business owners. I grew that business generating 50 million of profits over 13, 14 years, and then sold it for $151 million. And instead of having investors, I gave 40% of all that value, all that cash to my customers and every one of my employees. Think about that. $48 million got distributed to customers and employees when we sold the business. That's more fun than giving it to outside investors that aren't going to help me grow and scale it just because they gave me money. There's so many different ways to do things. This program that those business owners paid $997 for, I'm bringing it to you for $47 because those very business owners told me you need to make this available to anyone who's struggling and wanting to crush COVID in business. My intention in this program is to give you so much value for $47 that you will want to have a relationship with us. You will want to work with us in the future. My intention in this program is to create so much value for you if you're the business owner or a key contributor in a business or a future business owner or a student that wants to one day own a business. I don't care. What I do care about is creating so much value with you at $47 that you'll want to have a long-term relationship with me. You'll understand the value of working with Cardone Ventures. Look, this is my intention. My intention is to impact your life personally, professionally, financially, irrespective of what you're doing, by delivering 9 videos to you that will help you isolate, fortify, and deliver on your future ambitions and goals while you pursue your passion in business or as a contributor to the business. Now, here's another tip. If you ever thought about how to leverage yourself into a business that you're working in, where you can help a business owner succeed, pursue their goals, win at business, and you didn't know how to do that, spend the $47, because if you watch the video courses, you do the interactive worksheets, you sit on those 4 weeks of private calls with all those business owners talking about things that we're struggling with and how they fixed them. You create your own plan to identify those same gaps in the business you're working in, and you go practice with that business owner, and when you start crushing it in business for that business owner, you do exactly what the president of my company did that made $10 million when we sold the business. You go and present to the business owner that if they allow you to become the operator, you will help them grow and scale their business. And for $47, you will be able to do what I did when I started my first company. So if you're a business owner or you're an individual that wants to become a business owner or be a partner with a business owner or contribute to a business owner, it's $47 to take this program and to go out and crush COVID in business. I'm Brandon Dawson. Thank you for joining me on this webinar hosted by Entrepreneur, and I hope to help you crush COVID in business.
John, do we have John ready? Yeah, John, tell us a little bit about your history in joining Cardone Ventures and how that's shifted your mindset, your strategies, and your day-to-day operations there in Michigan.
Oh, yeah. So definitely, before Cardone Ventures, I had a new purchase of a business that I completed at the end of last year. This was adding to my business portfolio. There was no directionality. The owner was tapped out, losing money. And I knew that I could have some sort of influence to keep this business going. So during COVID, getting looped in with the Cardone Ventures team, I know Brandon always says context and contrast. Speaking about 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months operating capital, before I heard about that, I had 0 months operating capital. Wow. I thought I had these big grandiose ideas of what I was going to do, but there was no context or contrast. There was no algorithmic system that I could use to back up the idea and the vision that I had for the future of the business. So thinking about being able to find, study, and attract mentors, here I am in the ecosystem. I understand context and contrast, and I'm continuing to learn about it. And I also am realizing the difference between operating with a victim mentality and also operating, taking full responsibility. I'm more proactive. I feel better. I mean, it's exceptional.
Last year, we barely broke even. Actually, we lost money. Our strategy for getting our product direct to consumer failed us. And so that's what started the journey in trying to figure out a way that we could have a better year. So Q1, even with us just winging it on our own strategies and our own background, we got to about $1,000 on our website, wow. Direct to consumer sales. Q2, $176,000.
Wow. Nice.
I think that's like, I don't know, 16,000% increase or something like that.
Wild.
So, we attribute a lot to the emergency business response. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that come in there that we attribute the success to, but especially as far as business owners go, being at the table weekly with you guys and hearing all of the other businesses and the struggles and just getting on that common ground, and our customer retention was a huge piece, really focusing on our customer service, adding as much value as possible, and painting the vision of what our product solution was in a more direct way. With our getting, really getting on a startup mentality with our customer base.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we did.